Everybody, so for today's video we're going to be going on 5 tips on selling plants. I've only done 2 plant sales. I stock up and then I'd sell. So I probably will make like a part 2 or like a redo of this video. But as of right now, from my experience, this is what I've put together, the 5 tips on selling plants. So tip number 1, start with the most reproductive plants. So succulents, aloe vera, mother of millions, lemongrass. Those are all really reproductive. Succulents, you can do propagation. Aloes, they make their own little babies. Mother of millions, they do both. You can do the leaf propagation, cuttings, and they make their own babies. I think those are honestly the best to start with because they are super pretty and they're super easy to get more of, which is why they're great when you're first starting to sell plants. So tip number 2, start your plants at low, cheap prices. Now, I'm not talking about like $1, but I would say depending on the plant, like if you're selling aloe veras or lemongrass or any of the plants I just mentioned, I would go for about $5 to $10 depending on the size and the quantity. But like for avocados and like trees, if you're trying to grow those, which I wouldn't recommend in the beginning, those can go for $30, $40, even $50 depending on the tree. So tip number 3. This is kind of like the way you sell them, how you put them out there. You can either set up a stand, put signs around your neighborhood, and sell locally first. Just sell kind of like in your neighborhood. You can post on your neighborhood, like what Facebook page and stuff like that, and say like, this is my plant sale, this is what I have, blah blah blah. And you can say if you're interested in any of these, come to in between these 2 times, and you have a stand set up, you sitting there, and it's like a lemonade stand. Or you can schedule time with each individual customer and have them come pick them up, and you trade the plant for money. But I only recommend doing this if you're having a small, very little orders. Like people like, I want, it's kind of hard to explain. If you're not getting a whole bunch of orders, I would go with the pickup only because you don't have to sit outside the whole day. But if you don't want to bother with all of that, then you can set up something similar to a lemonade stand, but a plant stand. So tip number 4, start with easy to care for plants. No one wants a super hard to care for plants, especially people if you're selling locally. A lot of the times you're just going to have people who just wants a nice little plant to go in their house. For example, the most common are succulents. And another bonus thing you can do, which I personally do, is I print out care sheets. I go over lighting, soil, watering, and like potting size. Even on some of them, I go over how they reproduce, like aloe veras. Last but not least, tip number 5, don't sell them in nice pots. I've done this once, but I raised the price for them. So I usually sell succulents around $2.50 or 2 for $5. And I sold the decorative ones, succulents in decorative pot for like $5. So I actually doubled the price. You don't necessarily have to do that. But I would, if you're so set on selling them in nice pots, then I would have yours more expensive because you're having to pay for the pot as well. But a lot of times you can just go into like local greenhouses or plant nurseries and just ask like, hey, do you have any like old spare pots I can have? Because I can assure you they have a whole jumble of them that they don't use. So that's a good way of how you can get free pots. Alright, I give credit to Google for all the photos I used in today's video. I hope you enjoyed this quick